Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Yes, so which verse are we doing today?
Chapter
Starting with
15th.
15th.
15th. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
The glories of descendants of King Priyavrat. In this chapter, the descendants of Bharat Maharaj and many other kings are described. The son of Maharaj Bharat was named Sumati. He followed the path of liberation given by Rishabdev. Some people mistakenly thought Sumati to be direct incarnation of Lord Buddha. The son of Sumati was Devataji, and his son was Devadumna. Devadumna's son was Parameshthi, and his son was Pratiha. Pratiha was a very great devotee of Lord Vishnu, and he had three sons, named Pratiharta, Prastota, and Udgata. Pratiharta had two sons, Aja and Bhuma. The sons of Bhuma were Udgith, and the son of Udgith was Prastav. The son of Prastav was Vibhu, and the son of Vibhu was Prithushen, whose son was Nakta. The wife of Nakta, Druti, gave birth to Gaya, who was a very famous and saintly king. Actually, King Gaya was a partial incarnation of Lord Vishnu, and because of his great devotion to Lord Vishnu, he received the title Mahapurush. King Gaya had sons named Chitrarath, Sumati, and Avarodhan. The son of Chitrarath was the emperor Samrat, and his son was Marichi, whose son was Bindu. Bindu's son was Madhu, and Madhu's son was Veeravrat. Veeravrata's two sons were Manthu and Pramanthu, and the son of Manthu was Bhavan. The son of Bhavan was Twashta, and the son of Twashta was Viraj, who glorified the whole dynasty. Viraj had 100 sons and one daughter. Of these, the son named Shatajit became very famous. Okay. So this is a small chapter actually. We just have about 16 verses here describing the descendants. Now, one very important point when we are going to discuss this chapter is, now this may seem like something very ordinary, we're just discussing about the sons. But we have to understand that these are not ordinary men. Now, one may think, what kind of a personality will get married, have children and everything. But we have to understand that what really matters is devotion to Krishna. It doesn't matter whether one is a grihastha or a sannyasi or a brahmachari or vanaprastha. What is really important is the level of devotion that one has for Krishna. Arjun had many wives and many children, but at the same time, he was the dearest to Krishna. And yet we see Durvasa Muni is a strict brahmachari, and yet the Lord's Chakra tried to kill him because he was not favorable to devotees. So in this way, incidentally, Durvasa Muni is an Ansha avatar of Lord Shiva. So of course he exhibits that behavior, tamasa behavior. He's also a partial incarnation of the Lord, but he acts contrary to religious principles sometimes. So we can understand that actually it is not one's status in life, but it is one's level of devotion that really matters. So we should also, having said that, we also say, Mahajana yena gata sapantha. We should follow in the footsteps of great souls. But at no point in time should we ever try to imitate these personalities. One should not think, oh, I am a great grihastha, just like what was his name? Daksh, Prajapati Daksh. He criticized Lord Shiva. I am a great grihastha, and this Shiva has offended me. So that is nonsense. To think that one is a great person is actually a sign that one is not great. Because the Lord is infinite. If we do not know the Lord, we are actually very fallen. So even the great souls always consider themselves very fallen, because they think that once that Lord's mercy is not manifest to me fully. Just like Madhavendra Puri always used to think that I may, Madhavendra Puri always used to think like this, that what is the use of my meditation if I am not able to see Radha and Krishna, if I'm not able to serve them? So in that, he lived in that. That's the Viraha Bhava. That's the mood of separation of Gaudiya Vaishnavas. And it's not an imitation. It's not some nonsense Sahajiyavism, that we are just singing in some Bollywood tunes and trying to remember Radha and Krishna. No, it's a real feeling from the heart. When you feel that you are so lonely in this world that you haven't got Krishna and Radha, when you feel that kind of sorrow, that's real mood of separation. What we are experiencing is just a lusty separation. We have just lost some family member, or we are pining for somebody else and we are lamenting. That is not separation. That is just lust. Real separation is when you feel, Yugaitam Nimishena Chakshusha Prabrashaitam Shunyayitam Jagat Sarvam Govinda Virahename. That is real mood of separation. Yugaitam Nimishena. 1 second seems like a yuga, like 20 years or more. Chakshusha Prabrashaitam, and eyes are just like pouring out tears. Shunyayitam Jagat Sarvam. Shunyayitam Jagat Sarvam. So, to think that in the absence of Krishna, I am so lonely. The whole world is Shunya. Shunyayitam Jagat Sarvam. Govinda Virahename. So that is the mood of separation. And in such a mood, one doesn't want to associate with anybody else. Now imagine you lost your mother or your father and suddenly there's a party going on next door. You are not going to go there and cry in front of them. Oh, see, look, I'm so sorry. No, you are genuinely feeling sorry. You don't want to be with anybody there. You're feeling terrible separation. You just want to sit in one place and cry. That is the mood of a devotee. But the difference is that it's not a materialistic separation. One genuinely feels separation from Krishna. One doesn't want to associate with worldly minded people. Actually, that's a sign of progress in Krishna. When one doesn't want to associate with worldly minded people, then one can say that he's actually progressing in bhakti. So these great personalities that we're going to talk about now, the descendants of Maharaj Priyavrat, they're all great personalities. So we may think that, some people like here, mention of Parameshti or Pratiha or Prastota or Udgat, their names are not mentioned anywhere. So but they are all great souls. Because first of all, they are coming from Maharaj Priyavrat, who's coming from Manu, who's coming from Brahmaji directly. So they are great personalities, first of all. And secondly, even though they themselves may not have done anything great personalities, birth in their lineage. So we can understand, like Prabhupada always used to say, that inferior parents cannot produce superior children. So that means there must be some seed of piety because of which such great souls are taking birth in this family. Okay. Yeah, so we continue. Text 1. Sri Shuka Uvacha.
Hare Krishna, Babuji.
Hare Krishna.
One clarification about. No, this particular text has been written by Prabhupada.
Yeah.
Okay. This is not part of it.
No, this is a summary of the chapter.
Written by Prabhupada, that means.
Yeah, this was the chapter summary.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your Prabhupada. Thank you.
Shri Shuka Uvacha.
Shri
Shuka Vacha.
Bharatsya Majah Sumatir Nama Bhito Yam Uhavava Kechin.
Bharatsya Majah Sumati Nama Bhito Yamuhavava.
Pakhandina Rishava Padavim Anuvartamanam Chanarya Aveda Samanatam.
Pakhandan Rishi Bhava Davi Manuvratmanam Chanarya Aveda Samamatam.
Devatam Swamanishaya Papi Yasya Kalau Kalpa Yishyanti.
Devatam Swamanishaya Papi Yasya Kalo Kalpayishyanti.
Mary too?
Yes.
Hare Krishna Vandana Pranam. Translation purport by Shri Prabhupada. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Sukdev Goswami continued. The son of Maharaj Bharat, known as Sumiti, followed the path of Rishdev. But some unexpressed people imagined him to be Lord Buddha himself. These people, who were actually atheists and and of bad character, took up the Vedic principles in an imaginary, infamous way of support their activities. Thus, these sinful people accepted Sumiti as Lord Buddhadeva and propagated the theory that everyone should follow the principles of Sumati. In this way, they were carried away by mental concoctions. Purport: those who are Aryans strictly follow the Vedic principles. But in this age of Kali, a community has sprung up known as Arya Samaj, which is ignorant of the import of the Vedas in the Parampara system. Their leaders decry all the bona fide acharyas and they possess themselves as the real followers of the Vedic principles. The acharyas who do not follow the Vedic principles are presently known as Arya Samajis or the Jains. Not only do they not follow the Vedic principles, but they have no relationship with Lord Buddha, imitating the behavior of Sumita. They claim to be descendant of Rishabdev, they who are Vaishnavas carefully avoid their company because they are ignorant of the path of Vedas. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Vedis chet sarva aham ev vedaha. The real purpose of the Vedas is to understand me. This is the intention of the Vedic literature. One who does not know the greatness of Lord Krishna cannot be accepted in Arya. Lord Buddha, an incarnation of Lord Krishna, adopted a particular means to propagate the philosophy of Bhagavad Dham. He preached almost exclusively among atheists. Atheists do not want any God. And Lord Buddha, therefore, said that there is no God. But he adopted the means to instruct his followers for their benefits. Therefore, he preached in the duplicitous way, saying that there is no God. Nevertheless, he himself was an incarnation of God. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Okay,
Hare
good.
Krishna, thank you, Prabhu. So there are these different religious paths: Buddhism, Jainism, Arya Samajis. These are just different forms of atheism, actually. People who want to be pious but actually do not want to follow the Supreme Lord. These are these different religious paths. For example, Jain philosophy is not to commit any violence. Buddhist philosophy is also the same. Jain philosophy is to actually do charitable acts and not commit violence. Buddhist philosophy is to completely negate the existence. Arya Samaj philosophy is just to perform yajna. So, and all of them deny the Supreme Lord. For example, Dayanand Saraswati, the propounder of Arya Samaj, he used to say that there is, like, Puranas are all imagination. The only reality is Brahman. We just have to perform yajna and pacify the Brahman. So this is all nonsense, Bhagavatam clearly mentions Paramatmeti Bhagwan, Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagwan iti Shabdate. So, but they negate because they want to deny the personality of Godhead. In other words, they want to deny God himself. But at the same time, they cannot, be overtly demonic, so they are like subtly demonic. Likewise, Jain philosophy also, they deny the existence of any God at all. This world is just meant to do good. One has to attain nirvana, or what they call santhar. So all this is some kind of, concoctions. Deviation. Deviations from Vedic standard. Shruti, Smriti, Purana, Adi, Pancharatra, Vidhim, Vina. Ekantikir, Harer, Bhaktir, Utpata eva kalpate. So this is utpat, just some mischief actually, in the name of religion. So Lord Buddha was actually preaching to exclusively atheistic people. So he preached this philosophy of no God. But in this way, at least they followed him, they became peaceful. So the point here is that, in some birth, at least they will attain some devotion to Lord by following his instructions. So in this way, these paths are given, but we should not, think about these paths at all. Yes, they exist, But we should neither try to deny them nor we should try to follow them. Just stay away from these people. Because these people are avowed atheists. That's why they are following such philosophies. Prabhupada, when he came to the West, he just gave Sankirtan. And here also you see, if you try to preach the Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita in the West, people get angry. Even the so-called devotees become angry. Many big devotees, Brahmana initiative, they'll get angry if you start preaching Bhagavad Gita. They don't want to hear this. They just like to sing and eat and sing and eat. That's it. Dancing, singing, eating. So, that's like subtle Buddhism. So Prabhupada just sang and sang. Once Prabhupada was in Amsterdam actually. And there was a Kirtan. After Kirtan, one of the disciples started speaking Bhagavatam. Prabhupada just stopped him. He said, stop. These people are useless. Just sing. And that was it. And Prabhupada didn't give any lecture at that time. So you see, that's the point. So consciousness is low. So one may dress up in any particular way. But if he has no regards for philosophy, one is not a sadhu, not a meditator, he will not be able to advance in bhakti. Such a soul will have to wait for many births. Bahunam janmanam ante. So let him just enjoy this life. Nothing more can be done. That's why we also speak philosophy. We don't insist on, we don't insist on following rules and regulations for those who don't want to. So that's why sadhus also, they don't insist on anything. Okay, just you take it. One who is willing will follow, one who's not willing will go away. But what can we do? Everyone has his own individual consciousness. We cannot force anyone. That's why even the Lord is forced to preach philosophies like Buddhism. Lord himself, he has to preach a philosophy like Buddhism. Because people are so, so stubborn. They don't want to change. Lord has to change his own policies. Because people are so stubborn. So how can we think that we can convert anyone? We just give this message of Krishna, as Srila Prabhupada said, that we are just preaching this message to those who would hear it. So we don't become disturbed if someone is not following. We just give the message as it is. One who is intelligent will take it. Yajanti hi sumedasha. Bhagavatam is not saying that Yajanti hi sarvasha. No. Yajanti hi sumedasha. Only those who are intelligent will take it. So we just preach this philosophy and we move on. Yeah. So text 2. Tasmad vruddha senayam devatajin nama putro bhavat.
Tajinma putro bhavat.
From Sumati, a son named Devatajit was born by the womb of his wife named Vruddhasena. Atha Suryam tattanayo Devajumnas tato Dhenumatyam sutah.
Atha Suryam tatanayo Devajumna satato Dhenumatyam sutah.
Parameshthi tasya suvarchalayam pratiha upajata.
Parameshthi tasya suvarchalayam pratiha upjata.
Thereafter, in the womb of Aswari, the wife of Devatajit, a son named Devajumna was begotten. Devajumna begot in the womb of his wife Dhenumati a son named Parameshthi. Parameshthi begot a son named Pratiha in the womb of his wife Suvarchala. Ya Atma Vidyam Akhyaya Swayam Samshuddho Mahapurusham Anusasmara.
Atma Vidyam Akhyaya Swayam Samshuddho Mahapurusham Anusasmara.
So, would like to read?
May I read, Prabhuji?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Ji. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada Ji ki jai. Translation. King Pratiha personally propagated the principles of self-realization. In this way, not only was he purified, but he became a great devotee of the Supreme Person, Lord Vishnu, directly realized him. Purport. The word Anusasmara is very significant. God conscious is not imaginary or concocted. The devotee who is pure and advanced realizes God as he is. Maharaj Pratiha did so, and due to his direct realization of Lord Vishnu, he propagated self-realization and became a preacher. A real preacher cannot be bogus. He must first of all realize Lord Vishnu as he is. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 4.34, Upadikshyanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshana. One who has seen the truth can impart knowledge. The word tattvadarshi refers to one who has perfectly realized the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a person can become a guru and propound Vaishnava philosophy all over the world. The paragon of bona fide preachers and gurus is called Pratiha. Thank you, Ji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So King Pratiha personally propagated the principles of self-realization. In this way, not only was he purified, but he became a great devotee of the Supreme Person. Now, it's a very interesting term here. So, in the translation Prabhupada is writing, he propagated the principles of self-realization. In this way, not only was he purified, but he became a great devotee of the Supreme Lord. So, we can infer it both ways, that he was a self-realized soul, therefore he was preaching. And at the same time, we can also say that he became self-realized by preaching. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, a real preacher cannot be bogus. He must first of all realize Lord Vishnu as he is. So therefore, one must be completely purified before preaching. Upadekshanti te jnanam. Jnaninas tattvadarshina. He is knowledgeable, he is tattvadarshi. So without realizing Krishna, one cannot speak. So how do we preach then? What is our position then? What should we do? We are obviously not tattvadarshis. We have not realized Vishnu or Krishna. So how should we preach? And yet we have this instruction. Jare dekha tare kaha Krishna Upadesh. So how do we understand this? So Srila Prabhupada explains, devotee means pure devotee. Vaishnava means one who has seen Vishnu. That is Vaishnava. Not some theoretical understanding, but real understanding. One must have seen Krishna. So how do we reconcile these topics? How do we, come to a conclusion? What should we do? What should be the course of our action? So Srila Prabhupada says that a disciple who acts strictly according to the instructions of a self-realized spiritual master is acting on the platform of pure devotion. So how does that apply to us? So it's very simple. So first is Mahaprabhu speaks in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Grahe Rahi Krishna Nam Nirantar Laiva. That means you should be chanting the Hare Krishna mantra 24 hours. You must constantly remember Krishna. You must always be remembering Krishna. Nirantar Laiva. Then second thing one also has to understand is that when we are hearing or when we are preaching, we must only preach the pure message. So what Srila Prabhupada has spoken, we have to speak only that. So point here is that not that we are trying to establish some rhetoric philosophy or anything, but you must be 100% confident that whatever you are hearing from a self-realized soul. So for example, you go on some yatra, you are hearing some Mataji or Prabhuji talking about some very esoteric pastimes of Radha and Krishna. Are you 100% confident that this Prabhuji or this Mataji has seen Krishna? If you are confident, go well ahead. It will benefit you. But if you are not confident, then you are hearing something which will have no effect. For example, Srila Prabhupada never spoke any esoteric pastimes of Radha or Krishna. In fact, Srila Prabhupada would sometimes even avoid these discussions. Except for some very specific occasions like Radha Ashtami or something, Prabhupada would avoid having any discussion on Radha Krishna topic directly. Prabhupada would, allude to Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam more. So the reason was that the class of people who are hearing him were not qualified to hear such stories. Not that Prabhupada was unwilling to speak, but he knew that these people were not qualified to hear such stories. So if you feel that you are qualified to hear and that the speaker is also qualified to speak, then you are most welcome. Then please go ahead. These stories will actually purify you completely. But if not, as Srila Prabhupada warns, that prematurely jumping into the Leelas of Radha, Krishna or Krishna and the Gopis will actually stoke the lust in your heart. You will become very badly sexually agitated if you hear the stories of Radha and Krishna or Krishna and the Gopis, if you're not purified. So it's a very dangerous game. It's a very dangerous game to hear the Leelas of Radha and Krishna without having proper qualification or without having a proper teacher. So that's why one must preach. But then how do we hear Leelas? How do we preach those Leelas? So we hear them through the mouth of the Acharya. Srila Prabhupada has given some specific Leelas of Radha Krishna, specific Leelas of Krishna and the Gopis. We can hear them and they will purify us. In fact, in that chapter of the Ras Leela dance, Rasa dance, Prabhupada writes, that description is actually very graphic. For example, Krishna is making marks on the breasts of the gopis and all this Prabhupada has written there. But at the same time, Prabhupada writes that anyone who hears this pastime will become purified from the bad quality of lust. One's heart will become purified. Because Prabhupada can say that, because Prabhupada is actually self-realized soul. But if we, and at the same time, Prabhupada also wants that don't just try to read this. Before arriving at this level, you try to understand the Bhagavad Gita. Understand who is Krishna, who is Radha. Then when you hear their pastimes, you will be purified. But if you don't know who they are, and you jump prematurely, you will become more contaminated. Then you will not be able to worship Krishna actually. Then when you think of Krishna, only lusty thoughts will come to your mind. So that's another trap that Maya lays for us. That even in the purest of philosophies, we can get trapped. So such a person can become guru. So one who has perfectly realized the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So if you want to preach, you read all of Prabhupada's books, digest them thoroughly, backwards and forwards, you must understand each book. And then you will have certain realizations. Anybody who has got at least like some living consciousness will have some realization after studying Prabhupada's books. So if you preach according to your own realization based on what you read from Prabhupada's books and your own meditation, when you preach, people will listen to you. That will benefit them, that will benefit you also. So that is the secret for preaching. That's how our movement has survived. Hare Krishna. So, text 5. Pratihat Suvarchalayam Pratihartradayastra Asanna Ijya Kovida.
Yadam Pratihatyaha Adyaha Sayaha Tasnam Kovida.
Tunava Pratihartu Stutyam Ajabhumanav Ajanishatam.
Sunava Pratihrata Satutya Amaja Bhumanav Janishatam.
In the womb of his wife Suvarchala, Pratiha begot 3 sons, named Pratiharta, Prastota, and Udgata. These sons were very expert in performing Vedic rituals. Pratiharta begot 2 sons named Aja and Bhuma, in the womb of his wife named Stuti. Text 6. Bhumna Rishi Kulyayam Udgithas Tata Prastavo Deva Kulyayam Prastavan.
Bhumra Rishi Kulyayam Udgitna Yathastata Prastavo Dev Kulyayam
Prachatyam.
Niyutsayam Hridyaj Asid Vibhur Vibho Ratyam Cha Prithusheshenas Tasman.
Anityusayam Hridyaj Asid Vibhurvir Ratyam Cha Prithushena Svatar Mankat.
Nakta Akutyam Jadne Nakta Druti Putro Gayo Rajarshi Pravara Udara Shava.
Nakta Akutyam Jage Nakta Advati Putro Gaya Rajrishi Parvar Udar Shava.
Ajayat Sakshad Bhagavato Vishnor Jagat Rikshishaya Grihita Satvasya.
Ajayat Sakshad Bhagavato Vishnu Jagat Darikshya Grihita Satvasya.
Kalatmavattavadi Lakshanena Mahapurushatam Prapta.
Kalatmavadil Kshanena Mahapurushatma Prapta.
Can you prove?
Yes, please.
Hare Krishna. Translation and purport. There is divine grace for Prabhupada. Translation. In the womb of his wife, Rishikulya, King Bhuma begot a son named Udgita. From Udgita's wife, Devakulya, a son named Pastava was born. In Pastava, he got a son named Vibhu through his wife Niyutsa. In the womb of his wife Rati, Vibhu begot a son named Prithusena. Prithusena begot a son named Nakta in the womb of his wife named Akuti. Akta's wife was Tuti, and from her womb the great king Gaya was born. Gaya was very famous and pious. He was the best of saintly kings. Lord Vishnu and his expansions were meant to protect the universe, are always situated in the transcendental mode of goodness, known as Visuddha Sattva. Being the direct expansion of Lord Vishnu, King Gaya was also situated in the Visuddha Sattva. Because of this, Maharaj Gaya was fully equipped with transcendental knowledge. Therefore, he was called Mahapurusha. Purport. From this verse, it appears that the incarnations of God are various. Some are part and parcel of the direct expansions, and some are direct expansions of Lord Vishnu. A direct incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is called Amsa or Swamsa, whereas an incarnation from Amsa is called Kala. Among the Kalas, there are Vibhinamsa Jivas or living entities. These are counted among the Jiva Tattvas. Those who come directly from Lord Vishnu are called Vishnu Tattva and are sometimes designated as Mahapurusha. Another name for Krishna is Mahapurusha, and a devotee is sometimes called Maha Paurushika. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much. So now this is a very interesting question. What is the position of Jiva? Is he, like Krishna says, Mameva Ansha Jiva Loke Jiva Bhut Sanatana, or Mayavadis, or followers of Shankara, they say that Jiva is the same as the Supreme. Jiva can merge into the Supreme. Mahaprabhu says Achintya Bhedabhed Tattva. Or Dvaitavadis or Tattvavadis, the followers of Madhvacharya, they say that no, there is a clear distinction. There is Jiva, there is Krishna. They're eternally different from each other. So where is the truth actually? So according to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, these distinctions are very subtle. Krishna has said, Mamaya Ansha Jiva Loke. So Jivas are Ansha of Krishna. So while for definition we do say there is the Vishnu Tattva Swamsh and the Jiva Tattvas or Vibhinnamsh, but the distinction is very subtle here. For example, we see the pastime of Hridaya Chaitanya. Hridaya Chaitanya was a Jiva, the devotee of Lord Chaitanya, but he would manifest Lord Chaitanya. Not that Lord Chaitanya was sitting on his head, but Hridaya Chaitanya would manifest the complete consciousness of Krishna or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So how do we understand this? So Mayavadis have misunderstood this concept of the qualitative oneness of the Supreme, and they think that the Jiva or Vibhinnamsh can become the Supreme whole. So this is not correct, because this is tainted with materialistic consciousness of Aham Mameti, the materialistic consciousness of Kama or enjoying one's own senses. Whereas when Vishishta Advaita or Achintya Bhedabhed Tattva philosophies are explaining the qualitative oneness, we agree that Jiva can be subsumed into the Supreme Lord, but he still remains subordinate. This is a slightly difficult topic to understand. You really have to meditate on this. For example, the story of Maharaj Prithu. Maharaj Prithu, if you read the very, very chapter of Maharaj Prithu's incarnation, you will see that in some places Srila Prabhupada refers to him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and in another place as a great devotee. So what is Maharaj Prithu's position actually? What is Maharaj Prithu himself saying? When the sages are praising him as the Supreme, he refutes their praise. He says that, my dear sages, praising someone for those qualities which have not yet manifested is actually an insult. So I have not yet manifested the qualities of the Supreme. So what does this really mean? Is Maharaj Prithu Krishna or is he not? So the truth is somewhere in between. He's going to manifest. So this is known as a Kala, because he's incarnating from Ansha. You know, the age-old debate whether Krishna is an incarnation of Vishnu or Vishnu is an incarnation of Krishna. It is something similar. It doesn't matter. Because once the qualities are manifest, then those qualities are supreme. Once Maharaj Prithu manifested the qualities of the Supreme, he was the Supreme. But the Jiva did not become the Supreme. The Supreme manifested through the Jiva. So try to understand this. This is a very difficult topic. It's not something which has to be taken lightly or quoted lightly, because you might easily get mistaken for either a Mayavadi or a sentimentalist. You have to meditate it and understand on this philosophy very clearly. Because there is always a great danger of falling into the Mayavad trap, that I can also manifest the Supreme. So the answer is yes, I can manifest the Supreme. But I must have the qualities of the Supreme first. Then I can manifest the Supreme, but not so that I can enjoy my own senses. As a service to the Supreme, I can manifest the Supreme. Just like Hridaya Chaitanya. As a service to the devotees, he would manifest Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Not that he would want to himself aspire to be Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that's the subtle distinction between Mayavad and Vishishtadvaita. So these Kala incarnations of the Lord, they tread that gray zone between the Jiva and the Supreme. So they are counted among Jiva Tattvas, but they are manifesting the power of the Supreme. So they are Jiva Tattvas, there are Vishnu Tattvas also. So Prithu Maharaj is Jiva Tattva, he's manifesting through, he's a Kala avatar. Ete Chamsha Kala Pumsha. So he's a Kala avatar. Pumsha avatar is like Kapila Dev, directly the Supreme Lord. But Prithu Maharaj is manifesting the qualities of the Supreme. Yeah. So we continue. Anyone has any questions or comments here? Okay, then we do one thing, because this next verse is going to be a slightly long one. And we don't have sufficient time. Maybe we continue tomorrow with this discussion. Okay. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. Thank you, Prabhu. Dandar Pranam.
Pranam, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanurjana.